Conclusions about corrosion. Pitting corrosion, primary cause of any pipeline leaks. It's a well understood and predictable phenomenon. Anybody that tells you that this pipe is like new, they're not a card-carrying corrosion engineer, I'll tell you that. This pipe isn't like new, it's exactly like a 62-year-old pipe. Pitting corrosion, you can measure it real well. The ILI stuff works, it's really miraculous. You know, GD and the boys taking an ultrasound of the whole length of a pipeline, pretty damn good work. But once you get that data, you got to do something about it. The pitting corrosion data that's available to the academic community, there's very little, virtually none from the US. Pipeline companies don't want to give this up. Most of the data has come from other places where they run pipelines. A lot of it has come from Mexico, from pipelines that have been used up. And a professor can hire a bunch of people to go out and measure thousands of pits and pipelines. I calculate that line 5 from Superior down to Marysville ought to have something like 131,000 pits of significant size in it. Who knows? Enbridge knows, but that's the best I can do. You can analyze that data set and I can apply it to line 5. The history, what do I mean by the history that suggests pitting corrosion is a problem? Well, if I'm right, there should have been some repairs on this pipe, but there have been some repairs on the pipe. I talked about the incident up at Crystal Falls where they released a bunch of stuff. If you read a simple description of it, it said, oh, the pipe was sitting on a rock. Well, you know, imagine that, a rock in the UP. Really, what happened is there was a rock, there's a lot of rocks, and it scratched through the coating, and a pit formed and perforated the wall of the pipe. And that is why the pipeline leaked. And so that is an indication that at least in one place, this pipe has had a classic pitting perforation. I suspect there's other. I suspect there was some going on in Indian River. Indeed, if anybody's aware of maintenance activity, any place you see this thing dug up, boy, would I like to know about it. That's good data. You can also do all this kind of scientific hand-waving for cracking. We don't have time to go into that. But the analysis of this data to predict what you ought to do, repair it or replace it, it's codified in law to be the sole responsibility of the pipeline operator. It's up to them to decide what to do with it, and PIMSA has found in several cases that that responsibility has been misused by the pipeline operators. For example, imaging a flaw in 6B and not doing anything for 5 years. So these are my overall conclusions. Since I'm a licensed professional engineer, these aren't as flip as a lot of my ravings up here. And this is my story, and I'm sticking to it. The entire public record is insufficient to adequately assess this thing. I've given you my best shot. I've got a little more I could give you, but it really, every calculation I could do indicates that this pipe should have a life between 60 and 80 years in the circumstances that we're operating it, and we're in 63 right now. That I've raised a lot of questions with this analysis, you notice. I haven't answered too many of them. The Enbridge's operational reliability report, there's just not the I mean, they make all kinds of grand conclusions. There's no data to back it up. So words don't cut ice with engineers. When somebody sits there and blows a long stream of hot air, it doesn't mean anything to me. I want to see numbers. They're in very short supply. The inspection without effective criteria to trigger repairs and then following through with the repairs or replacement, that's meaningless. You know, it's just going through the exercise. You know, you can say you do all the ILI you want, but if you don't take action on it, and there's several cases where the pipeline companies haven't taken action on it, then you're going to have wrecks. And right now, this is a very recent conclusion, you know. A lot of people here, I suspect, have small businesses. When times get tough, what do? You cut budgets. And particularly in a big operation like Dow, you cut maintenance budgets. Oil's at 30 bucks a barrel. Things are really tight in the pipeline industry. Maintenance budgets, I'm sure, are cut to the bone. That makes this a very dangerous time. So here's my bottom line, and it should sound a little familiar. This is from a report I wrote last March when I was first getting started on this, but I see absolutely no reason to change my position. And it says essentially, I believe that line 5, as it exists and operates in 2015, presents an unacceptable risk for service that would be considered greater than class 4. That's where it would do a lot of damage, a lot of property damage, a lot of damage to the environment. Class 4, if it were a gas transmission pipeline, which it is because they put propane through it. It's my professional opinion that this thing should be derated to its original design capacity to reduce the stress, and its cargo should be restricted to propane, LPGs, and natural gas liquids until a full analysis can be made of this thing using all the data that's available and the best guys you can find, not a bunch of guys that come up with, well, you know, the current pipeline board that was appointed by Wyatt, and he's gone for his bad acting in the Flint disaster. I have no faith in what goes on in Flint. So that's my story, folks.